Hello, the name is Daman Dev Sood, your host for my weekly show, My Top Tips, every Wednesday, 9:30 a.m. IST. I recently crossed the century of these shows. With your help, I'm looking forward to making the double century as well. Every week, I pick up a topic which may be of concern to you as business continuity, risk management, crisis management, sustainability, environment, resilience, etc. Today, a very important topic according to me and a big gap in the world. When corporate wisdom arrives too late. And as overall, all my work is around resilience. So I will bring a resilience perspective to today's discussion also. I'm sure everyone, all of us, are aware of this wisdom truth as human beings. We get it a little too late. It's painful also, and is almost of no use. Other teeth, whether we had 20, 28, 30, they had been working well, had been serving us well. But when we get this wisdom, so called wisdom tooth, I would say, or teeth, it's late. We don't get much out of these. And similar activity, act happens in the corporate world also, which is my concern. The leaders share profound insights after their retirement. So, as long as they were in the service, they were different. But their talk changes when they come out of the active working life post retirement, when they are not employable anywhere, which is a concern to me. Their actions did not match words, so they were not leaders. And their organizations were not resilient organizations on this parameter. Because in resilience, time is the most important parameter, is of great essence. So I'm going to pick up 7 cases, real cases from the world, with a disclaimer that what I discuss, names, etc., even the sayings, the phrases that I will pick up are from the media. So there may be some correction to be made there, but that's not my focus. To be correct in picking up the names of people, companies, and their phrases, etc. But the intention is to pick up the learnings for all of us. So stay with that disclaimer, please. Many would have talked about long working hours. One example that comes to light is Infosys founder Narayana Murthy recently, I think a year ago, remarked that employees should work 70 hours a week to accelerate India's growth. But during his leadership, Infosys maintained the global norm of 40 to 45 hours per week, often promoting work life balance as part of its culture. Uh, Retain this point, please, work life balance as part of its culture. If I put my resilience lens to this, I would like to say true resilience is built not by exhausting people, but by creating sustainable energy in long term productivity. A burned out workforce is brittle, not resilient. Second case, when people, the great leaders, post retirement, would have said that employees are our greatest asset. Many retired CEOs, from Jack Welch to contemporary leaders, have repeatedly called people the most valuable, greatest asset. But when he was working, Welch, during his GE tenure, popularized a rank and yank concept where the bottom 10% of performers were routinely fired. Fear, not empowerment, shaped the culture. Or it appears that it would be fear. And this is where I was saying stay with culture in the previous one also. Culture gets linked. Through my resilience lens, I would like to say fear driven organizations are fragile. Resilience thrives on trust, inclusion, and psychological safety. While G's progress is unquestionable, but whether this rank and yank added to that or was a deterrent needs to be researched. Perhaps there were many other factors which were positive better, due to which G still progressed well. Third case is work-life balance. Easily said than done. For example, Rihanna Huffington, after collapsing from exhaustion, became an evangelist for sleep, balance, and well being through her company, Thrive Global. But at the Huffington Post, the newsroom was notorious for long, demanding hours with little emphasis on boundaries. So, this is how, when the actions and words differ, I feel pain, that this is not resilience. And every time it happens happening after the retirement, when their active years are over. Resilience lens tells me organizations that ignore well-being weaken their continuity. Resilient systems account for recovery, not just output. Linked with this is emotional impact assessment also. During any disaster, crisis, or while conducting the business impact analysis of system, company, processes going down, my recommendation is to look at emotional impact assessment also. If you really mean work-life balance or taking care of people. Case 4 coming up is culture over strategy, I call it. Peter Drucker might have said this: culture eats strategy for breakfast. And this has been repeated endlessly by business leaders as an example. But Uber's early leadership under Travis drove growth at all costs, allowing a toxic culture to fester until it broke the company's reputation. Once again, Uber perhaps continues to work. Maybe it would have been much better. Resilience lens tells us a brittle culture cannot withstand shocks. Healthy culture is a resilience in disguise. Resilience, operational resilience, organizational resilience, all these put a lot of emphasis on culture of the organization. BCM perhaps would have done little less. Risk management perhaps would have done little less, but increased focus on developing the culture, which takes time in any company, in any organization, in any country, in any society. So these three, taking care of employees, work-life balance, etc., walking the talk by the leader, these help in developing the culture. Companies must invest in developing an environment where people feel fearless There was one point earlier about being fearless. People feel fearless, are encouraged to speak out, are encouraged to bring problems or risks or challenges out. Case 5 coming up is shareholders versus stakeholders. So we can understand that shareholders are also one of the stakeholders. Stakeholders are these days called interested parties. So both are interested parties, but with a difference. BlackRock is an example. This leader from the company now writes annual letters emphasizing stakeholder capitalism, that companies should serve employees, society, and environment, not just investors. So investors are those shareholders, stakeholder, but there are other stakeholders also, like employees, society, and environment. But for long, BlackRock, this company was the largest or one of the largest investors in fossil fuels, which means not in line with environment and society, enabling short-term shareholder gains at environmental costs. So company was looking into shareholders, keeping shareholders happier rather than other or at the cost of other stakeholders. Resilience lens once again tells that true resilience is systemic, balancing financial, environmental, and social responsibility. This concept, also known as triple bottom line concept, and not swinging after the damage is done. Case 6 is about innovation and adaptability. I'll wait for a few seconds if you want to guess the company case coming up. And if you thought Nokia, you would be right. So Nokia CEO Steven, while Nokia was being taken over by Microsoft, said, "We didn't do anything wrong, but somehow we lost." Going deep, we would have to think, why did they lose? Under his leadership, Nokia resisted rapid adaptation to smartphones, clinging to legacy models until collapse. So once again, a difference between the words. When I had the power to act, I was different. But when I was out of that position, responsibility, role, my words would change and appear to be visionary. Not good. Resilience lens brings us to this thought that resilient leadership anticipates change and acts early. Admitting too late is no substitute for adapting in time. And once again, Nokia is not dead. Once upon a time, it was perhaps at the top. It may be at number 10, but it's still live and kicking. So there is a separate study requirement to be looked into. What are those parameters that have helped Nokia to sustain, which is taking it towards a resilient company. The last case for today's discussions are about diversity and inclusion. Many retired executives, including several from Silicon Valley, now highlight the importance of women and minorities in leadership. But during this active time, for decades, boardrooms remained overwhelmingly male and non-diverse despite talent pipelines being available. Resilience lens tells us homogeneity weakens organizations. Diverse teams bring perspectives that strengthen resilience in crises and innovation. There would have been a reason across globe that United Nations in its sustainable development goals had to pick diversity and inclusion. Most organizations today work around this, but we need to look at whether this is just a tick in the box or a serious act, serious thought by the leadership in place now. The older ones are out. The responsibility is with the current leadership. So, if we attempt to connect the dots in all these 7 cases, we see that wisdom came late. And late wisdom becomes commentary, really doesn't have any change in the company, in the society, in the world. And resilience needs timely action. The most important factor in the resilience is that we act on time, in time. Perfection is good, but we shouldn't lose time in the name of perfection because there is no one who is perfect in this world. While closing, I would like to repeat this 7 point checklist for corporate wisdom. You may like to paste it, keep it as a checklist, keep looking at what is your view as well as a reality in your company with respect to long working hours. Do you really mean employees to be your greatest asset? Answer would be yes, most likely. But what are you doing towards that? What are the results out of that? Keep checking, please. Actions are important, but we need to look at the effectiveness also. How well is this work life balance, especially post COVID-19 pandemic era, especially when work from home or remote work or work from anywhere became given granted for all organizations, but most organizations are rethinking about it. And this gets linked with the emotional impact also. Work from home is good, but it has huge impact emotionally on people. About 4 years ago, I conducted a global research with the help of 7, 8 global experts, professional colleagues of mine, and that report is available on my website if you want to check. Goes deep. While I admit that even I have not been able to conduct this emotional impact assessment for any one of my clients yet. Should be done for sure, there's no doubt. I do not have any doubt about it. Fourth checkpoint will be culture over strategy, that you take care of all stakeholders. Balanced approach, then shareholders versus stakeholders versus shareholders, triple bottom line concept, ESG may come into picture. Point 6 would be what are you doing about innovation and adaptability? Even in resilience, you need to be innovative. And seventh checkpoint, how well is your diversity and inclusion program? Is it on paper only or is it doing better, improving? It'll take long. All this gets linked with the culture of the organization, of the country, of the society. Will take long, but the point is, are we acting now? Because the time is now. My call, lesson for leaders or call to leaders is do not wait for hindsight. Align intent with action today. Walk the talk, please, because resilient people make resilient organizations that make resilient planet. Wisdom delayed is opportunity denied. The time is now for resilience, so let the sun of resilience rise. If you have any questions about today's discussions, wisdom coming too late, corporate wisdom coming too late, just like the wisdom tooth, or anything about resilience, please feel free to write to me and I'll be happy to respond. This is Daman Dev Sood, your host, logging off from my weekly show, My Top Tips, every Wednesday, 9:30 a.m. IST, inching towards the double century now. I look forward to seeing you next Wednesday also. Bye-bye.